All right, let's get started. So here is the review for the circles unit. Hopefully we are aware of most of these problems and know how to do them at this point in time. First of all, let's look at this problem. You know, because this is one of your theorems, given this is the center and this is a radius and this is your tangent. When the radius and the tangent meet at the point of tangency, these two lines are perpendicular. Therefore, you have a right triangle. Now, because this is a radius and this is a radius, these two parts are congruent, therefore this is x. You can use the Pythagorean theorem. Be very careful, because this side is x plus 9, not x times 9, x plus 9. In any case, the Pythagorean theorem. Here you go. X squared plus 15 squared equals this side squared, which is going to be x plus 9 squared. This is going to be x squared plus 225 equals, don't forget to FOIL this. This means x plus 9 times x plus 9, so this is going to be x squared plus 225 equals x squared plus 18x plus 81. Well, the x squareds equals 0 when you subtract x squared to both sides. 18x equals 144, and x equals 8. There's the answer right there. All right, the next one. All of these sides of this quadrilateral are tangent to the circle. With that being said, this says find the perimeter. We know this entire side is 8, this entire side is 15, and this entire side is 20. Down here, we know this part is 8, and we know that when two tangents come from the same endpoint and they're both tangents to the circle, these two parts are congruent. So this is congruent to this, therefore this is 8. Well, this whole side is 20. Therefore, 20 minus 8 is 12, and this part's 12. We know these two lines are tangent to the circle from this point, so therefore these two parts are congruent. So therefore this is 12. This whole side is 15. Therefore, this part right here is going to be 15 minus 12, which is 3. Again, these two parts are congruent. So this is going to be 3. This whole side is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. These two parts are congruent. Therefore, this is also 5, which means this side is 13. So, finding the perimeter. This whole side's 8. This side is 15. This side is 20, and this side is 13. Perimeter is 56. Number 3. All right, first of all, just like number 2, we know these two parts are congruent, so this is going to be 5. We know this whole side right here is 24. What we do know as well is that this is congruent to this, and this is congruent to this. So if these two parts add up to 24, these two parts also add up to 24. So we're talking about perimeter here. These two parts add up to 10. These two parts add up to 24. And this side is 24. We don't need to know what the individual parts are because we know the sum of those two parts, and overall the perimeter is talking about the sum of the sides. So your answer, 58. All right, solve for the missing variables. X equals 150. Well, if this is x That's one arc. Both of these arcs added together must equal 360. So if this arc were 10, this arc would be 350 because you said 350 minus or 360 minus 10, and that's 350. That was an example. We don't know what this arc is, but we know it's x. So this arc is going to be 360 minus x. Remember that when your vertex is outside the circle, you're going to say the big arc minus the small arc divided by 2 equals the angle. In this case, the big arc is 360 minus x. So we have 360 minus x minus the small arc, which is x, divided by 2 equals 30. Sorry, equals the angle, which is 30. When you do the algebra, so this is going to be 360 minus 2x equals, cross multiply, 60, x equals 150. Next problem. These two segments are perpendicular to their chords. So this is what we know. If this segment is perpendicular to this chord, we know this is congruent to this. That is one of our theorems. If you don't know that, make the extra effort to remember that. Again, same thing over here. This is going to be congruent to this side, not necessarily congruent to those two. So we don't know that yet. What we do know, let's fill in this information. DF is 5. GE is 12, so the whole thing is 12. BD is 4. Well, we know these chords are not necessarily congruent because they're not equal distance from the center. But we need to find AC. AC is this chord. So how are we going to do that? Make your right triangles. There's a right triangle. This part, GE is 12, therefore since these two parts are congruent, this is 6. Well, now I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the radius. So I have 5 squared plus 6 squared equals r squared, and r equals the square root of 61. So this is the square root of 61. I can therefore go apply that over here in this side of the picture because this is a radius. This is going to be the square root of 61 as well because these two parts are congruent. They're both radii of the circle. Now I can use the Pythagorean theorem again to find AB. After I find AB, I can double AB to get AC because these two parts are congruent. So now I have 4 squared plus the square root of 6, that's wrong, plus AB squared equals the square root of 61 squared. 16 plus AB squared equals 61. AB squared equals the square root of AB equals 45. And then AB squared, AB equals the square root of 45, which is equal to 3 radical 5. That is AB. The question asks for AC. Multiply by 2 and you're going to get 6 radical 5. The next one, you have, this is your central angle, and we know the central angle and its arc have the same measure, so this is also 78 degrees. When the vertex is on the circle, the angle is half of the arc. So x equals 1/2 of 78 degrees, which is 39. All right, this one, a little bit harder. So we know x is 120, and we know y is 105. With that information, we know these two angles are supplementary. So this is going to be 60 degrees. We also know these two angles are supplementary, so this is 75 degrees. With that being said, when I look at angle Z, I know that this arc is twice of that angle because that angle is an inscribed angle. The vertex is on the circle. 60 times 2 is going to be 120 degrees. All right. The question asks for filling in all this information. So we have Z, which is 60. We have WZ. All right, we'll talk about that one. Angle W is 75. Now, we know this arc is 120 degrees. We know this chord is congruent to this chord. Since these two chords are congruent, their intercepted arcs are also congruent. So those two arcs are congruent. Well, 1, 2, 3 arcs must add up to equal 360. So we have 360 minus 120 because that arc is 120 degrees. That's going to give me 240. And now I have 2 more arcs that are congruent. So divide by 2. That's going to equal 120 degrees. So arc WZ is 120 degrees. Now, we still need to worry about D, this arc right here. This arc is WX. It's right here. And I know that if I, let's use yellow. If I look at angle Y, here's Y right here. Angle Y is 105 degrees. And it makes arc ZWX. So it's going to go all the way around the circle like this to ZWX. So if I add WX, so arc WX plus arc ZW, I know I'm going to get 210 degrees. So because this angle is 105, this arc is 210 degrees. And that arc is made up of these two arcs right there. Well, I already know that this arc right here is 120 degrees because I just found it right here. So this is 120. If this arc right here, let's highlight that purple. So this arc right here plus this arc must add together to equal 210. Well, this purple arc is 120 degrees. So 210 minus 120 equals 90 degrees, and that is the measurement of this arc right here, 90 degrees. Now we could take it one step further if we wanted to, and we know that WX plus XY is 120, therefore XY has to be 30 degrees. That's not one of your questions, but there you go. All right, next question. Notice this is not at the center. This vertex is not at the center, but it is inside the circle. This one, you're going to add the arc plus the arc divided by 2 equals the angle. Well, your arcs are 58 and x. So you have 58 plus x divided by 2 equals the angle, which is 32 degrees. X equals 6. This one over here, this angle is outside, the vertex is outside the circle. Again, that's the big arc minus the small arc, so 102 minus x divided by 2 equals 31. Well, let's do this. 102 minus x equals 62. X equals 40 degrees. So this is 40 degrees. Well, this arc plus this arc plus this arc must equal 360. So 360 minus 102 minus 40 equals 218. So this arc is 218 degrees. This angle is an inscribed angle. Vertex is on the circle and it inscribes this arc right here. And that arc is 218 degrees, so angle Y equals 1/2 of 218, which is 109. Find the value of x. This is your POP, product of the pieces. You multiply the pieces. So 3 times 8 equals, notice this is piece number 1, piece number 2 of that chord. The next one, this is piece number 1, and this is piece number 2 of that chord. So this is going to be x times x plus 2. I have to distribute. So now I have x squared plus 2x equals 24. 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 24. You need to factor. This factors to x plus 6 times x minus 4. X equals negative 6. X equals 4. This is your only answer because negative 6 would give us a negative distance here. This one is your ow equals ow. The outside times the whole equals the outside times the whole. The outside over here, O equals 2, W equals 12 plus 2, which is 14. Over here, the outside equals x, and the whole side equals x plus 3. Okay, so the outside, 2 times 14 equals the outside, which is x, times the whole, which is x plus 3. Distribute. Over here, you're going to get 28 equals x squared plus 3x. 0 equals x squared plus 3x. Minus 28, you have to factor. It's going to be 7 and 4, so it's going to be x plus 7, x minus 4, equals 0, x equals negative 7, x equals 4. Again, x equals 4 is the answer because you cannot have a negative distance. This one is a little bit tougher. This one right here is the same concept as number 10, the exact same concept. Notice the radius is 8. Therefore, this whole piece is 8. This whole piece is 8. Therefore, the diameter equals 16. Well, this part of it right here is x. We don't know how long this part of it is, but we know if we add those two pieces together, we're going to get 16. Therefore, this piece of it is 16 minus x. So essentially, you have two chords like this. This is x, this is 16 minus x, this is 6, and this is 8. So now you have, again, it's just like number 10, 6 times 8 equals x times 16 minus x. That's going to be, 16x minus x squared equals 48. I'm going to move everything to the left side. When I do that, my x squared becomes positive, so it's x squared. My 16x becomes negative, plus 48 equals 0. I have to factor. This is going to factor to 4 and 12, and my 12 is going to be they're both going to be negative. So x minus 4, x minus 12, x equals 12, x equals 4. Only one answer works, because if I put a 12 back in here, 16 minus 12 is 4. I know the diameter is 16 units long. If this part of it right here is 4, and this part is 4, that's telling me my diameter is only 8 units long, and we know the diameter is 16. So my only answer, possible answer now, is x equals 4. All right, next one. This is your ow equals ow. The outside here is 2x. The whole side is 2x. The outside here is 6. The whole side is 14. So this is going to be 2x squared equals 6 times 14. Be very careful here. Very, very careful. This means 2x times 2x, which is going to give you 4x squared equals 6 times 14. So 4x squared equals 84. X squared equals 21. X equals the square root of 21. All right, number 14. It says find the diameter. This is your outside hole again. We don't know what this part is, but it is the diameter. We're going to let that be x. The outside here is 3. The whole side is 3 plus x. The outside here is 6. The whole side is 6. So this is going to be 3 times 3 plus x equals 6 times 6. So that's 9 plus 3x equals 36. 3x equals 27. X equals 9. All right, next one. You have the answer right here. Remember the equation of a circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right, you're going to put this as it is into this equation. Notice the answer is right here. So you've got x minus negative 2 squared plus y minus negative 1 squared equals the square root of 2 squared. And voila, there's your answer. Same thing over here. X minus negative 6 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 8 squared. And again, here's your answer right here. Next one. Write an equation of a circle with diameter at these points right here. So first thing you need to do, 1, find the midpoint. So I don't use the midpoint formula. I don't know how Mr. Kiley does it. In any case, 0, 9 is right here, and negative 3, 1 is right here. So I have a right triangle. I know that my midpoint is somewhere right here. Well, I know my x values are the average of the x's, so negative 3 plus 0 is negative 3, and you have to divide it by 2. So negative 3 halves, which is negative 1.5, makes sense. And then I know that this is 9 up here, and this is 1 right here. Well, the middle of 1 and 9 is 5. So there's my midpoint. I have to find the length of the radius. Use the distance. I am going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So this distance right here is 3. This distance is 8. 3 squared plus 8 squared equals the diameter squared. That's 9 plus 64, which equals d squared. So d equals the square root of 73. All right, so when writing your equation, x minus, use your center, negative 3 halves, squared, plus y minus 5 squared equals the square root of 73 squared. That's going to give me x plus 3 halves squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 73. This answer should be 73. Same thing over here. I've got, if I graph this, negative 2, 3 is right here, and 6, negative 7 is right here. This distance right here is 10. This distance right here is 8. Using the Pythagorean theorem, 8 squared plus 10 squared equals the diameter squared. That's going to be 164 equals d squared. D equals the square root of 164. All right, I did something wrong over here. We're going to have to go back and figure that one out. So from here, if I'm taking the square root of 164, I need to simplify that. So 164 divided by 2 is 82. Divided by 2 is 41. That is going to be 2 radical 41. That equals the diameter. I need to divide by 2 to get the radius, so that's going to be the square root of 41, and that is the step that I did wrong over here. I have to go back and fix that. All right, I still haven't found my midpoint here. So my midpoint is going to be, again, the average of the x's. So here's 6 and negative 2. What's the middle of 6 and negative 2? All right, so if I drew those on a number line, I would have to go with 2. And 6 minus 2 is 4 divided by 2 is 2. Again, negative 7 and 3. Again, if I used a number line and I looked at the middle, I would have negative 2. Okay. Let's write our equation. We have everything we need. So we have x minus 2 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals, remember the radius is square root of 41, so that's going to be the square root of 41 squared, which is just 41. So your answer right here, there you go. Let's go back and fix the other one. So for this one, I'm going to say r is the square root of 73 over 2, which would change this answer right here to be 73 over 4, which makes this probably the right answer. But I'm not using a calculator, So I do believe that is the right answer if you think about that a little bit. So there you go. In any case, this answer would be acceptable, and unless the directions specify, you may leave it in decimal form. There you go. Make sure you can do this step by step because this will be on the test. Also remember that all review material will also be on the test.